So everybody's good for an adventure once in a while, right? I like them too. I enjoy doing things outdoors, so I play with my little chainsaw here. Well, if I show you, I've kind of been a little bit of a brat and not paid close attention, so my bar is needing some serious filing. So we're going to clean it up because it's a little bit of a mess here and get her all back together, hopefully, so that I can cut, because I was trying to cut some stuff the other day and I thought, you know, Ruth, this needs to be fixed. So first I'm going to do some clean off here. Go inside and take a look at what I've got inside here. And get her cleaned up. Isn't it pretty tight? Which it needs to be just for safety's sake. There. Okay. So I used to watch my brother for years filing down the chainsaw when he was working at the shop. So now hopefully I can sort of replicate some of what he does. And yeah, so I got a mess here. That's why I decided to. I've got things that have collected inside the saw. Oops, there you go. You can see it's kind of a mess there. So I was pretty sure it needed a good cleaning. It's making me wonder if some kind of critter made its nest in here or something. Goodness gracious. Dirty. Somehow I knew I'd need a tray to clean all the junk out of this. So that's starting to look a little bit better already. This saw has been pretty reliable. It's a little Poulin that I got. I let somebody borrow it once and he was kind of brutal with it. But it really has been reliable for the little jobs that I've needed to do in my house. Trimming trees and bushes and stuff. So it was worth the money I paid for it. I don't have the luxury of the air compressor to blow all the dirt out of here, so I gotta clean it the best I can without an air compressor. And it will still be a lot better than it has been, just because you can see I've got all this junk in here that needs to be cleaned out. It really has been way too long since I did this. But part of it's because I haven't used it too much until the last year, where I was working on some stuff at my sister's house, trying to get the brush cleared. And then I realized, you know what, I gotta get this thing going, because she had some trees cut down here and we've got to get them moved out of the way so we can fix the lawn that got all dug up with the drainage problem. So that's what prompted me to think it's about time to get this done. So that's about the best I can do without an air compressor. When I was younger, my parents owned a shop and I used to go there to clean all this stuff, and they had the air compressor and all that fun stuff, but I haven't bothered to put the money into that at this point. Okay, so that looks a whole lot cleaner than it was. That's that part. Put it up out of the way. Clean this up a bit more. I am debating whether or not I want to take that off of there and clean it too, or do that next time. I probably should, because there's junk in there too. You know, it's definitely been too long since I cleaned this. Okay. This would probably be easier with the socket set, but this is one of those things where you have to make sure you don't put enough pressure on it that it slips off on you and you cut your hand on the blade. Probably should have brought my socket set in here too. Didn't loosen, so I've had to back it up. So it's righty tighty, lefty loosey. I've actually been amazed at how many people don't know that little trick for remembering which way to turn a nut off. Well, the positive thing is I did have them on there tight before. There we go. Okay. So for people who don't know, these two bolts are for tightening the saw. And you can adjust it here as well. My other saw actually has a hand tightening adjustment thing that I wish this one had, but it doesn't, so. Okay. Oops. Where did it go? There it is. Okay. Just double checking where the bolts go so that when I'm done I can get them back in there the right way. Where did it go? Haha, that's kind of funny. Look, it landed on the handle. That's hilarious right there. Okay, now I have to be in the mood to do this because it's kind of persnickety work. Boy, that's got some junk around it too. No surprise. Okay, so for folks who wonder what it looks like inside on here, the chain goes around this little sprocket and out like that. So in order to get it off, we have to loosen it out of this and take it off of here. I'm just taking the bar off to check it and clean behind it because it is pretty dirty. There you go, there's the bar and the chain. Lots of goo in around it. The video I watched said to check to see if there's a burr on the edge here, and thankfully there isn't. But then to make sure that these holes here are cleaned out. And this little one right here, because I was trying to add oil to it, and it seemed like it was taking a lot of time to get there. So, see if I can do this right. There's a little hole right there that lets the oil into the bar. So a bar, and that was definitely dirty. That was part of the reason why it wasn't getting the oil the way it should have. Need to get some more paper towel here. The last time I was using a saw, I did not use barless oil, or I mean smokeless oil, and so it was smoking on me, and I was like, okay, better check on that too. So that's that part. But as you can see, the rest of this still needs some cleaning. And this would be one of those times when I do wish I had the air compressor. So again, for people who are wondering, on these little saws, this little bolt right here, whoops, I gotta get it where you can see it. That little bolt right there is the bolt that adjusts the tension on the bar. So the bar sits in this little groove here, and this will tighten it so that it makes it tighter and holds it in place. Yes, this should run a whole lot more efficiently once I get this done. It's been gooped up bad. And I'm being very careful as I do this because I don't want to mess with any of the electrical that's in it. But after a while, these things can get gooped up pretty good. I think the saw will thank me once I get it back together. And if you want to make comments of things that I could have done differently or other things that you do when you're cleaning these, if you don't have an air compressor, feel free to tell me that in the comments. I am my father's daughter, for the guys that are going, I can't believe a woman's doing this. So I don't think twice about taking on something like this if I need to. Unfortunately, he passed away of cancer in 2000, but he was an amazing dad and taught my sister and I an awful lot of things for how to take care of ourselves when we're somewhere where we don't have somebody else to do it. Yeah, there's a lot of mess. I'm not necessarily going to pull the whole thing apart, but I am going to get a good dose of this junk out of here that's been building up all over the place. Okay. Now the true test is, can I put it back together? Ha ha ha. It's interesting because the thing that I watched said that it's okay to switch the blade over. Flip it over. So it wears on both sides evenly, and I didn't know that. So you learn something new every day. Getting the last vestiges of junk out of the edges here, and then I'm going to put it back together. And that little hole is indeed on both sides of this thing. So there's a hole here, and then if you flip it over, there's a hole right there on the bar. That's for the oil, so you got to make sure that's cleaned out. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to back this thing off. Okay, so the tensioner is making it harder for me to get it back on, so I gotta loosen that up. Which would make sense, duh. Okay. This is where I grabbed every possible conceivable tool I could think of that I would need. So what I'm doing is I am loosening this up so that I can, oops, I gotta go the other way, get the bar on there easier. So what this is doing is it's making this move down farther so that it makes the bar loose for me. One video I watched talked about the fact that a lot of this is plastic, and I think the stuff inside here is plastic. Okay, now put our bar back on. That should be loose enough now that it'll let me put it in there. Yep, it is. And put that down there. What's interesting about this little thing is it's got a catch on it that keeps the bolt from turning on the bottom, so that's helpful. Let's see if I can turn it the way it'll show you. So that keeps the bolt from turning on the bottom. This is where you gotta have about 14 fingers working at the same time to make it go together for you. Because I gotta get this back on here too. I think it's going to be easier to turn it sideways, so I don't have to hold it up while I'm doing it. tones that part down a little bit for me. And I can get these in place. Ended up having a fight with this one time when I was working with some guys, because one of the guys was not like my dad, who's careful with this kind of equipment, and he was incredibly brutal, and he popped the chain right off the saw. So I learned on the job site how to put the chain back on my saw because of what the guy did. Okay, well, that's on. Now, yeah, I know it would be easier with a socket set, but I didn't bring the socket set in, so I'm doing it without the socket set. Just doing that, getting more junk out. Okay. Now, question is, did I put the blade on wrong? I sure hope not. You know what I did? Well, you know what? It's a good lesson for you. Because the saw is supposed to go that way around. So I've got I gotta flip the chain over. So when you flip the bar over, you gotta flip the chain over too. So here we go again. Maybe my doing that mistake will save you the frustration on your job if you're doing this. And you remember to do it before you get it all bolted back on. Alright, that's going to drop back out of there again. If I can do this without taking the guy off. I think I won't be able to. something was wrong when I was trying to make it go, and I'm like, okay, this is not. Yeah, because that's the way it's supposed to cut. So now I got my teeth going in the right direction again. They're supposed to go that way, not the other way.